Hi guys and welcome to my channel. Today we're making another Uzbek soup called Manchiza. Manchiza is a slang word in Uzbek language meaning something hearty, something colorful, something tasty. So it looks just like that soup, which is very similar soup to lagman, unless lagman, this one has a triangular shape dumplings. These type of dumplings are very easy to make. The recipe is similar to pasta. In a medium-sized bowl, add 1 egg at room temperature. Then you're gonna need 1 dash of salt. I have this tiny spoon that mimics the dash of salt, but you could just use the fingers to pick up the salt. Then you're gonna need 2 tablespoons of water. We're gonna mix the egg until it's slightly foamy. Just remember, we might need more water or less depending on how your flour is gonna act in this recipe. At first, we're just gonna sift in about 1/4 of a cup of flour to make a thick paste, just like that. And then we're gonna continue adding the flour to the wet ingredients, and it's about 200 plus minus 2 tablespoons of flour that we need to make those dumplings. So I'm gonna leave 2 tablespoons there, and then we'll see what the consistency of the dough is going to be. I'm gonna put my gloves because I have nails for this task, and we're gonna start kneading the dough. So just gonna incorporate all the flour. If it's too dry, add another tablespoon of water until your dough comes together into a ball. And then we're just gonna move it on to the table surface to knead this dough slightly to a much smoother consistency. This is a dry dough. Remember, for all types of pasta, you're gonna need a dry dough. So this dough is okay now. We're just gonna leave it to rest and put it in a small bowl, cover it with the lid, and leave it to rest for about 30 minutes until the gluten relaxes and it's going to be easier to roll out the dough. To make a soup, we're going to need 2 pounds of beef. I have 1 pound of chuck roast and 1 pound of ribs bone in. Since most of the ingredients are going to get fried at high temperature, for this dish I would recommend to use high smoke point oils like avocado oil or a cottonseed oil, which is very typical in Uzbekistan and used in a lot of different dishes, especially if you need some frying to do. We also will need some vegetables for this soup, and they're going to be 2 medium-sized tomatoes, 1 large onion, 4 cloves of garlic. Then we're going to need some herbs, cilantro, dill, and parsley, 4 medium-sized potatoes, and 2 carrots. Now spices and salt and pepper, of course, to taste. I'm going to start with 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and about a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. And then we're going to add a little bit of spice to this soup. I'm going to add half a teaspoon of Aleppo pepper. I like this pepper, has a lot of flavor, but be careful with it. It could get very spicy. And then some cumin seeds and some coriander seeds. You could just leave them whole or run them through the grinder. And also 2 bay leaves and 1 chili pepper, if you like spice, of course. Could I just please brag a couple seconds about this knife I got from Dalstrong? It's a limited edition Joker knife. Look at this knife. It has the Joker face etched on to the blade of the knife. How beautiful is this? I'm a big DC fan, so I had to get it. And it's a wonderful addition to my collection. We're gonna start by slicing 1 large onion half moon. And onions are very much used in Uzbek cuisine. I think it's in pretty much every single dish. When I entered the house of my friends that immigrated to US from Uzbekistan, and in their kitchen there was a 25-pound bag of onions. And I was like, what? The onions are crucial for Uzbek cuisine. Let's deal with the meat. So those 2 ribs we're gonna leave whole. And The piece of meat that I have is a chuck roast, which is a tender piece of meat, and especially when it's cooked in a high temperature, it's even gonna get tender. We're just gonna slice it into 1-inch squares. All the ingredients in this dish I have to be pretty much the same size since they all gonna get fried together. And of course, after using the meat, you need to wash your cutting board. I used to have a cutting board that was specifically used for meat. It was red cutting board, but it just didn't look very pretty, so I'm just gonna clean that one so we can continue cutting the vegetables on it. Let's make a tomato puree. We're gonna make a crisscross cut on the tomato on the back side of it, and we're just gonna remove the pit from the tomato. Place it in a heat-resistant bowl, and we're gonna pour a boiling water over them. Then we're gonna cover the bowl with the lid and let it soak for 10 minutes. And after that, see what happens. The skin is easily removed from the tomato, and the tomato became very soft. So we're gonna take the potato masher and we're gonna mash those tomatoes and turn them into a tomato puree. We need to peel 4 Yukon Gold potatoes, and I'm gonna use the dull strong peeler. By all means, I'm not sponsored by these guys. I just like their products. So I bought this peeler that has the attachments, and if you need your peel to be much thicker, you can use a different attachment. For the potatoes, I'm gonna use the smallest one that removes the least of the peel, leaving us with most of the potato. And it's like glides seriously on the potato, just like that. The same way, using the same vegetable peeler, we're gonna peel 2 carrots. And look at me, I'm peeling towards me. I'm just used to this method, or you could just use the other way around. And keep your vegetables in the water until you're ready to use them so they don't turn brown. To make the soup, we're going to use kazan, which is a round bottom pot similar to wok, to which we're going to add 125 milliliters of cottonseed oil, just a little bit over half a cup. And we're going to heat it up really well until it sizzles. Then we're going to use that spatula to mix all the ingredients. First, go in the ribs because it has to purify the oil. I don't know, it's just something I was taught. And then we're going to purify the oil for the other ingredients to go in. And then next, we're going to fry our meat. And the meat is going to get fried until it's slightly browned. And just keep in mind, keep the high temperature at all the time so you do not create a lot of juices, and then the ingredients are actually going to get browned. Then let's add some onions to the meat, and both are going to get fried until it's brown. Then slice 2 carrots in half, and then each half another half, and then into these little triangles. Then we're also gonna slice 4 Yukon Gold potatoes into about the same size pieces, and also mince 4 cloves of garlic. Add garlic to your browned meat and onions and cook for about 1 minute. Then add all your spices, and the spices are gonna get really opened up in this oily environment. Then add your carrots and also your potatoes. Mix all together and then cook for about a minute or so. Add tomato puree and mix. Then we're gonna return our ribs back to the soup. Pour in about 3 liters, which is about 3 quarts of boiling water. Mix it, and we're gonna let the soup cook for about 30 minutes. Now let's make the dumplings. So we're going to use the silicone mat, just add a little bit of flour onto it, and also flour your rolling pin. And let's look at the dough. You see it's much softer now. It has relaxed, and it will be easier for us to roll it out really thin, like a noodle thin. Roll out into a circle with a thickness of 1/16 of an inch, which is about 2 millimeters thick. And here is the cutting part. I had to draw a map on how to cut this dough in triangles, but I figured that out. So we're gonna make a straight lines about 2 inches apart. Then we're gonna go 45 degrees in one side, cutting this dough into diamond shape, and then we're gonna go 45 degrees in the other side, cutting each diamond shape in half, which will leave us with the little triangles, just like that. And if some of them are not perfect, so what? Nobody's gonna examine your noodles in your soup, and they're just gonna enjoy the soup more than they're gonna be examining your not perfectly cut dumplings. Each soup is usually get finished by fresh herbs. I had to run to my herb garden and pick up some herbs. So I have some cilantro, some parsley, and I also have some dill, and there are a couple chives in there too. Chop your fresh herbs. They don't have to be really fine, because some of it is going to be added to the soup when the soup is done. And also some of it is going to be needed for serving the soup. Let's look at our soup, and you can tell the meat is tender because you see how it's detaching from the bone, and everything is just looking fabulous. Now it's time for us to drop those dumplings in the soup. So you're gonna add them slowly by little batches so they don't stick together. So add a little batch, mix it, then add another batch and mix it. These noodles are gonna take less than 5 minutes to cook, and then add your fresh herbs to the soup, close the lid. Allow about 3 to 5 minutes for the dumplings to float to the top of your soup, and your soup is done. The last thing we have to do is just to check for salt. So we're just gonna taste the soup and see if we need more salt or pepper. It is pretty spicy, so I am just gonna add a little bit of salt, mix it, and it's ready to be served. By looking at this soup, I understand why it's called Manchiza. Look at this. It's colorful. It's hearty. It is so tasty. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye.